This pickup truck is equipped with a REB system. The Ukrainian military detects the arrival of a Russian FPV drone and destroys it by firing at close range with light weapons. The Ukrainian REB system redirects the Russian FPV drone a few meters ahead. The operator sees the image with a delay and misses the target by a few meters. If the REB system had not been present, the Ukrainian soldiers firing at the Russian drone would have been pointless. Russian Novgorod Prince Vandal fiber optic drone encountered 2 Ukrainian soldiers riding ATVs while conducting reconnaissance in the forest. What happened, happened. The 11th Army Corps is destroying shelters near Liptsy, where Ukrainian armed forces personnel are located. Ukrainian infantrymen whose shelters came under attack immediately abandoned their positions and sought another shelter. Meanwhile, the aerial reconnaissance team was tracking the infantrymen step by step. They struck every building they entered. Drones capable of dropping munitions and FPV drones were used in the attacks. Incendiary munitions were also used.
Don't forget to leave your opinion about the video in the comments, subscribe, and like.
Footage of combat operations carried out by the 3rd Combined Arms Army of the Southern Forces Group to destroy the field depots and positions of the Ukrainian armed forces in the Seversk direction. The ammunition left under the bridge by Ukrainian forces was destroyed. The driver and passenger of an ATV belonging to the Ukrainian armed forces attempted to cross the Volkhya River, but the vehicle got stuck on a bump and fell into the river after tipping over. At that moment, a Russian FPV drone nearby immediately took action and flew towards the target. A total of 2 drone attacks took place. Reconnaissance operations conducted on the southern outskirts of Volchansk revealed the deployment point of personnel from the Ukrainian Armed Forces 57th Brigade. The enemy shelter was completely destroyed by airstrikes. 3 against 2. Russian assault troops cleared enemy trenches despite being outnumbered. Footage of the fighting near Pokrovsk. Russian soldiers urged Ukrainian troops in the shelter to surrender, but they refused. Russian soldiers then opened fire on the trench. Don't forget to join our Telegram group. Engineers from the Novorossiysk Guards Mountain Airborne Unit are detecting and destroying enemy mines and explosives in the settlement area of the Zaporizhia region. Parachute engineers, often forced to work under enemy fire, are clearing forested areas and roads of unexploded ordnance. The engineers advance step by step along fields and roads using probes to examine the ground ahead. Since it is unsafe to pick up and transport the crew from the ground, all ammunition and explosive objects found are destroyed with explosives. An engineer can render several dozen unexploded ordnance harmless in a single day. During the aerial reconnaissance, the Ukrainian forces' communication devices were destroyed. A Ukrainian military tank parked in a wooded area after completing its mission. The tank crew was unaware they were being watched. They parked the tank quietly and camouflaged it a little. Then 2 Russian FPV drones slowly arrived at the scene and found the tank. With a few light touches, the tank was destroyed. Russian Garand's raid on enemy targets in Kryvyi Rih.
Присели!
In other words, the 98th Division Guards shot down 3 more enemy reconnaissance UAVs in the Konstantinovsky direction. In addition to depriving the Ukrainian armed forces of their reconnaissance capabilities, the method of shooting down enemy UAVs also deals a heavy blow to the enemy's finances. The cost of such a UAV ranges from 1 to 4 million hryvnias. A Russian drone destroyed a garage and the vehicle inside it in the Kupiansk direction. Russian fiber optic drones suddenly appear in front of enemy vehicles and destroy them without giving them a chance to escape. Systems such as REB are useless against fiber optic cables. That is why the Russians cannot stop the Novgorod Prince Vandal drones. Russian drones have destroyed Ukraine's logistics. This is a Russian Molnia II aircraft-type UAV. It is moving rapidly toward the target. The video is being recorded by a Ukrainian interceptor aircraft. The Ukrainian drone was moving rapidly to shoot down the Russian Molnia II UAV, but failed to do so. The Russian drone hit the target squarely and destroyed it. The Ukrainian operator filmed the target control, Kramatorsk direction. An APM, anti-personnel fragmentation mine, looks like this. If you pull the pin, it explodes and the shrapnel hits you. Ukrainian armed forces command centers and personnel in the settlement of Konstantinovka are being destroyed. Footage of the attack has been verified by reconnaissance drones. The drones are primarily targeting shelters. Soldiers under heavy attack are hiding in other ruined buildings or under trees. Do you think ruined buildings are safer or hiding under trees? The soldier who quickly ran to hide under the trees is probably unaware that he is being tracked by reconnaissance drones. Donetsk Front, northern direction. Objective control of combat operations at the enemy UAV control point in the Ivanivka area by the artillery crew of the Russian Armed Forces 123rd Brigade.
Готов! Орудие! Выстрел!
Commandos affiliated with the Sever Group carried out targeted attacks on a fuel station used by the Ukrainian armed forces in the Sumy region. The attacks were carried out using Lancet UAVs. Kharkiv region. As a result of coordinated interaction between the Anvar Detachment, the FSB Central Security Service, the 245th MSP Reconnaissance Battalion, and the Air Reconnaissance Center, the targets were directly destroyed. The neutralization of a Ukrainian Armed Forces Pu-34 UAV in the village of Korabelka, Kherson region, using FAB 1500. "14 28th Motorized Rifle Regiment soldiers on duty. Destruction of an enemy pickup truck in Kupiansk. It's as if the pickup driver opened the door to let the drone in. Write down your thoughts." A Mi-28NM struck the Ukrainian forces' drone control center with a precision strike using an X-39 LMUR guided missile. Kupiansk direction. Sumy direction. Near the village of Nadyarna, Rubicon unit aircraft-type FPV drones struck a gas distribution station that receives, discharges, and stores gas. Drone operators belonging to the North Group are destroying enemy vehicles using FPV drones. Don't forget to join our Telegram group. You forgot your suitcase. Russian UAV operators destroyed enemy electronic warfare equipment using FPV drones via fiber optics.
Я же говорю, помнишь, когда на Драмашском поле тянутся провода, эти волокна?
Kupiansk direction. Footage of the destruction of an ammunition depot belonging to the Ukrainian armed forces. Vostok assault units discovered a foreign weapons depot in the southern Donetsk region. This was reported to TASS by the commander of the unit, whose call sign is Volga.
Готов! Есть? Все, Тигр, отходим!
Fire damage was inflicted on heavy equipment and personnel belonging to the Ukrainian armed forces in Zaporizhzhia, on weapons and ammunition depots in Vasilkiv and Fastiv, near Kyiv, and on Ukrainian forces in Sumy. Explosions were also heard in the Kharkiv and Dnipropetrovsk regions. A pickup truck racing with a drone lost the race on dirt roads in the middle of fields in the Kharkiv region. The 6-person crew suffered minor injuries. The video shows the advance, the identification of the target, and the ambush of a pickup truck. As a result of the ambush, 4 soldiers from the Ukrainian armed forces were neutralized. I cannot publish the entire video here as it does not comply with YouTube community guidelines. Russian armed forces personnel destroyed a drone launch pad in the village of Ingulets. Russian air forces destroyed a Ukrainian forces drone launch pad in the village of Ingulets. What do you think the size of these FABs is? 500, 1,500, or 3,000? The heroic parachute units of the 76th Guards Airborne Division transferred from the Serebryansky Forest near Kremina to the Orakovskoye tactical direction in the Verbovoye and Rabotino settlements area. The paratroopers of the 76th Guards Airborne Division were transferred from the Serebryansky Forest near Kremina to the Orakhovskoye tactical direction and immediately engaged in combat with the Ukrainian Armed Forces 82nd Airborne Brigade and 71st Jager Brigade. These units had broken through the first line of trenches. The same units had been trained in NATO methods in EU countries using NATO equipment and weapons. Intense trench fighting began and turned into hand-to-hand combat. Abandoning the unsuccessful tactic of advancing in large columns, the enemy transported its assault groups to the front in armored vehicles in sequence. These groups immediately engaged the participants in combat. 2 weeks later, the enemy was driven out of the trenches. The video shows soldiers from the 234th Guards Airborne Division.
Да, отлично, гранаты кидают, отлично.
The graveyard of Ukrainian armed forces equipment destroyed by Russian drone operators at the Krasnoarmeysk and Dmitrov intersection continues to grow. Northwest of Pokrovsk, an American Mach Pro armored vehicle was destroyed on the M30 highway. A few small Russian FPV drones loaded with ammunition are enough to destroy NATO's and the US's expensive armored vehicles. How do you assess this situation? How do you evaluate the fact that small, fast, and light drones loaded with ammunition can destroy expensive and heavy armored vehicles? Share your thoughts in the comments. A Bodan 3.0 motorized gun was detected and destroyed in the Zemliany region. The FPV UAV operator systematically struck the Bodan's head, and it eventually went up in smoke. Ukrainian forces periodically attempted to extinguish it and bring it back to life, but the arrival of 4 FABs put an end to its presence at this position. The drone unit affiliated with the Southern Forces Group destroyed a US-made M777 155mm howitzer with a precision strike. Don't forget to join our Telegram group. Russian forces, supported by operators of attack aircraft belonging to the 1009th Regiment, are engaging in fierce clashes with the enemy for Volchansk in the Kharkiv region. Counter-operations by Russian UAV operators. Duran-2 flew to visit Ukrainian Armed Forces UAV operators detected near the village of Doroshenkove.